The night was heavy with a promise that lingered in the air, unspoken and fraught with anticipation. The winds had died down, and a strange stillness had settled over the camp. Liang Zhen stood at the edge of the makeshift encampment, staring out into the distance. His gaze pierced the darkness as though willing the horizon to reveal its secrets. He could feel the pull of destiny now more than ever. The celestial court had taken everything from him, his throne, his family, his power, and now it sought to control the very fabric of the realms themselves. It was a force built on fear, built on the idea that no one could stand against it, but he would stand. He had made his choice, and there was no turning back. Behind him, the low murmur of voices from his newly formed rebellion filled the air, whispers of hope, of fear, and of what lay ahead. His allies were still few, but each day, more of the disillusioned and the lost came to them. They were the forgotten ones, the broken immortals, the fallen sects, the outcasts, and now they had a common enemy. Xiao Mei approached from behind, her footsteps soft but firm. As always, her presence seemed to cut through the tension in the air. She had become an anchor of sorts for him, her steady demeanor grounding him in moments of doubt. "You're thinking too much," she said, her voice calm, almost soothing. "You can feel the storm coming, can't you?" Liang Zhen turned his gaze from the horizon, his eyes narrowing. "The celestial court won't sit idly by. They'll come for us. For me." "They'll come," Xiao Mei agreed, stepping closer. "But you've given them a reason to fear, and they won't stop until you're either dead or made an example of." "I'm already a broken example," Liang Zhen muttered bitterly, his gaze flickering toward the flickering campfires. "A fallen immortal, an outlaw." Xiao Mei didn't speak for a long while, and for a moment they simply stood together in silence, the weight of his words hanging between them. But then she spoke again, her voice low, filled with quiet conviction. "You're more than that, Liang Zhen. More than the Silent Immortal who defied the Celestial Court. You're the one who's been reborn, and the world will have to reckon with that." Liang Zhen let out a low sigh. Reborn. The word still felt foreign to him, like a burden he hadn't asked for. In the years of his imprisonment, he had lost more than his crown. He had lost his sense of self, his certainty, and now, standing here with this ragtag group of rebels, he was forced to confront the question that had been burning in the back of his mind. Who am I now? The flickering flames of the campfire cast long shadows across the faces of the men and women gathered around. Their eyes were filled with a quiet hunger. Hunger for freedom, for justice, and for revenge. But in their faces, Liang Zhen saw something else. Hope. A hope that had long been extinguished in him, a hope that had been buried under the weight of betrayal and time. "You're not alone in this fight," Xiao Mei continued. "There are more than just us now. Master Shen has connections, people who've been waiting for a chance to fight back. He has information that could give us the edge we need." Liang Zhen's eyes flickered toward the edge of the camp, where Master Shen stood in quiet conversation with some of the older rebels. His presence had brought something invaluable to the table: knowledge. The kind of knowledge that could level the playing field. But it wasn't just information that they needed more than that. They needed to make their move before the Celestial Court made theirs. The next morning, they gathered around a large map spread out across a wooden table in the center of the camp. Master Shen stood at the head of the group, his fingers tracing the lines of the map, pointing to several key locations within the Celestial Court's domain. "The Celestial Court's reach extends further than you realize," Master Shen's voice rumbled through the quiet gathering. "Their influence is everywhere, from the floating palaces in the sky to the very foundation of the mortal world. They have spies in every realm, in every city, even in the most hidden corners." Liang Zhen studied the map, his eyes narrowing as Master Shen's finger landed on a cluster of locations near the heart of the celestial realm. "The heart of their power," he said quietly. "Exactly," Master Shen replied, his tone grim. "And it's here, at these locations, that we'll strike. We won't be able to challenge the entire court all at once, but we can hit them where it hurts. Cut off their supply lines, destroy their communications, and cripple their ability to respond." Xiao Mei stepped forward, her eyes intense. "The celestial court controls the very flow of spiritual energy that powers the realms. Without it, the immortal sects will falter. They've grown too reliant on their power base." Liang Zhen's gaze hardened. "And if we cut it off?" Master Shen met his gaze with a quiet certainty. "If we sever the link, the court will weaken. It will take time, but the chaos will be enough to give us the opening we need." A murmur rippled through the gathered rebels. They were starting to understand the scale of what was at stake. The celestial court was not just an enemy. They were a force that shaped the very foundations of the realms. To fight them would be to fight the natural order itself. The weight of their task pressed down on Liang Zhen's shoulders, but this was no longer just about revenge. This was about something bigger, a chance to break the chains that had bound him, and that had bound the world for so long. "This will be our first move," Liang Zhen said, his voice steady and commanding. "We strike at their heart, and when we do, we break their chains once and for all." Later that night, as the camp settled into uneasy rest, Liang Zhen stood alone, gazing into the distance. His mind raced with the implications of the plan. The celestial court, their iron grip had stretched for centuries, and now it was beginning to crack. He could feel it in the air, the tension, the promise of what was to come. And yet, beneath it all, there was a nagging feeling that wouldn't leave him. He had chosen this path, but at what cost? The sound of footsteps behind him broke his reverie. Xiao Mei approached silently, standing beside him without a word. For a long moment, they stood together, watching the firelight flicker in the distance, casting long shadows on the earth. "You're not alone in this fight," she said again, her voice softer now. "Whatever happens, remember that." Liang Zhen's gaze flickered to her. "I never thought I would have to fight again. But now, I don't know if I have a choice." She looked at him, her eyes searching his face, and for the first time since their meeting, Liang Zhen saw something else there. A glimmer of understanding, of shared pain, of something deeper than either of them had been willing to acknowledge. "I think," she said quietly, "you've always had a choice. But now, the choice is about more than just you. It's about all of us." The words hung in the air like a silent vow. The fight was just beginning.